Hello everyone, welcome back again to the NPTEL online certification course on research methodology for planning and architectural studies. As we are discussing about different case studies where authors they have used the qualitative research approach. So today we are at lecture number 49. We'll be discussing another such case study of qualitative research. So here the title is Qualitative Research Case Study 4. Through this particular lecture, we'll again understand another case example where authors have used the qualitative research method and how they have presented the case, what kind of methods that they have used. So, we'll try to understand and then we'll summarize at the end of this particular lecture. Here is the case study 4 titled Measuring Heterogeneity in Perceived Satisfaction of private vehicle users towards attributes affecting access to metro station, a case study of Delhi. It is authored by Dr. Manashini Kaur, myself and Dr. Manoranjan Parida. This article was published in Case Studies on Transport Policy in 2022 and you can get access to this paper by using this QR code, or you can also use the DOI and you can go through the paper. Now, before I just tell more about this paper, let us understand the title, what exactly we thought of this paper and what kind of study that we were looking for. So, whenever we try to understand the perceived satisfaction of users towards any facility. So, in this case it is the metro station access. So, from my origin, from my house or home, I need to go to metro station to catch a metro. In that particular case, that what are the facilities that are affecting, and in this case it is done with a private vehicle user. So, either I am using a car or whether I am using a particular two wheeler. Now, whenever I ask this kind of questions and all of them are not really quantitative in nature, it is not about the distance or the time, it also depend on safety, it will also depend on comfort. So, for all such cases there are certain kind of context which are qualitative in nature. So, which cannot be captured through just kind of some measurement with the time and cost. So, that is why this is some sort of qualitative approach that we have discussed in previous case studies as well. Paper we discussed about the pedestrian facility in the access area, metro station access area, etc. Now, whenever we ask this question to a person, the person may give the satisfaction based on his or her perceived satisfaction, but that may not be the same if you ask the same set of questions to others. Obviously, you will get certain sort of different value. Even if you ask them to rate in 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, you may get different values from different people. So, there might be some sort of preference heterogeneity. So, our idea was to understand that whenever we just target the sample, okay, total this many samples are collected. Now, if we want to understand their perceived satisfaction based on their gender or based on their age group, whether there are certain sort of difference in the satisfaction or not. So, with that perspective, we thought of going ahead with this paper and we captured the heterogeneity in their perceived satisfaction. Now, coming to the background of the work, definitely it addresses some of the issues that urban congestion and the need for public transport. This is something now most of us we know that we need to improve the scenario. Public transport is one of the preferred options, sustainable options, where it can lower down the emission, it can improve the traffic scenario. But only standalone application or the improvement in public transport will not solve this purpose unless otherwise you improve the accessibility, improve the access to those public transport. So that's why that is something evident. The Delhi metro is already, we have discussed in several papers, that it is one of the successful metro system in the country which can serve people's mobility need. In this particular paper, we have also identified the gaps in understanding the user satisfaction with the metro access. Also, in this case, we try to understand the importance of improving the transport infrastructure and especially the access part of it. Now, coming to the research gap that are identified in this, that lack of studies on user satisfaction heterogeneity in metro access, need for insight into demographic specific preferences, so that the whenever there is certain scope of customization to address the need of different users, we can fit it. Because whenever now we are talking about the public transport and the concern with the female passengers, the safety, security, definitely they might have certain sort of priority in certain attribute. Unless otherwise we look into it, we will not get the idea what to be done in that aspect. It also calls for detailed analysis of factors influencing the metro use. Accordingly, the objective of the study to identify the key factors influencing metro station access satisfaction, analyze the satisfaction level among different users. In this particular paper, we have taken the gender and age group as we can say the socio-demographic factor, where we tested the heterogeneity. Accordingly, definitely to suggest the improvement based on the user feedback. Now, methodology of the study, in this case, we have used the non-parametric test to compare the findings, the responses rather among different age group and also between male female, and we use the read it analysis. We will discuss that in subsequent slide as well, as another multi-criteria decision making approach, and which is also applicable for a distribution free data where the data is not normal. We can use it for ordinal data, it is very effective. So, we have used it. In this case, we also developed a structured questionnaire for data collection, and we approached to the metro user who are using their vehicles, the private vehicles, and reach to metro station and then use the metro. And finally, 965 survey respondents were taken into final data analysis, because some of the respondents, they did not fill all the information in the questionnaire. So, during the data cleaning part, we had to drop those. Also, in this case, the focus was given to the primary data to understand the user perception, and we have applied this qualitative approach here. Now, if we talk about the data that we have used here, in this case the response data were taken into 6-point Likert type ordinal scale for assessing satisfaction. The rating ranges from 0 to 5. So, this is something not very often we see in paper, we see 1 to 5. Now, we inserted 0 because some of the factors that are listed, if they are not existing, so we cannot give our satisfaction. So, you need to understand one point. For importance, we can give importance to the things that are present or that are not present in the context. But if I ask you about satisfaction, unless otherwise you experience it, you cannot give satisfaction, right? But there are certain factors. So, for such kind of cases, if in that particular station or if that particular area, or maybe that user never uses that particular facility or that attribute, never experienced with, So this is the freedom to the respondent to also give 0. So where the 0 rating signifies non availability of a specific facility or attribute. Based on literature review, thorough literature review and all, we listed around 30 plus attribute initially. Then with the factor frequency analysis and subsequent screening, finally we selected 17 attributes that are affecting the metro station access. So these are all these 17 attributes. I just read some of them. You can go through the paper, you can get the explanation and all. So this is also very important, that how to present it in the paper. So in this case, the broad category are divided into 3 segments: access mode related, where safety, security, riding comfort, which are actually your mode specific. If you are using a mode which are not safe, so this is related to that. Then next, wherever you park your vehicle, so parking related, and then there are some other factors which are like travel route information, in vehicle travel time, egress time, those kind of things. So parking related factors may be universal design consideration, availability of designated parking facilities, illumination in parking lot, parking guidance information, etc. Now for such kind of attribute, normally we also give a code, or here we are using some notation like this, and in this particular case also we need to give the references. So these references are required, because this will give a confidence that the authors have gone through the past literature, and then other researcher also mentioned about this kind of factors in case of access to a public station or to a metro station. So this is something very much required. Now coming to the questionnaire. So it is developed from extensive literature review and pilot study feedback. This also includes different sections like socioeconomic and travel information, which actually we used for measuring the heterogeneity, and most important part, the satisfaction towards metro access attribute, the 17 attributes that we have selected. Initially we have done a pilot test with 50 users to understand that is there any complexity in the questionnaire. Some of the factors are not very easy going to the respondent. So accordingly we fine tuned the questionnaire, and then we finalized our questionnaire for the main survey. Final questionnaire adjustment made based on the pilot survey feedback. Now coming to the sampling technique, in this case stratified random sampling were used, and they are actually done at the metro station with the parking lot. Participants selected based on their use of metro service post parking. So only we ask those participants who are using metro as well as they are using the parking facility. The stratification based on gender and further by age group, and we try to make certain sort of correlation between the respondent profile, different distribution, and then what was recorded rather in the census population in 2011, which was the latest document that we have, because 2021 still we do not have the census. Coming to the sample size, initially we have targeted the respondent at the metro station, and then stratified sample were used, which are also making some sort of equivalence with the demographic proportion. Total 1050 user sample were collected, exceeding the minimum required sample of 384 that we have done some calculation during sample size calculation. But Some of the questionnaire, as I already mentioned, were not completely filled. There were certain issues. So we have to drop those questionnaire, and finally 965 complete valid responses were used. This particular sample size also ensured the statistical significance and reliability of the findings. Now, mode of survey, as because this survey was done during the COVID time, so that was one of the challenge that we faced. It was conducted using a tablet to ensure contactless data collection. It was very difficult during the COVID time. So, computer assisted personal interview was the mode, the CAPI that I think all of you know now. The survey is administered by appointed surveyor and not self administered, because some of the questions, the explanation and other thing, probably you need someone to demonstrate. It enabled efficient data collection with an average completion time of 15 minutes per survey. So, three parts like socioeconomic, travel information, and then satisfaction data. Now, coming to the findings, the general satisfaction level. So, first we try to uh, estimate the overall result without any segregation between male, female, or the age group. So, there majority of the respondent rated high satisfaction levels for the attribute like egress time, indicating the efficient metro station exit. A significant percentage, which is 68.3% of the respondent, expressed dissatisfaction with presence of variable message sign. So, which maybe you nowadays observe that in a bus or something, that there are multiple information which are just keep on floating. So, variable message system can give certain kind of insight about some real time information, etc. So, which are not that much used and people are dissatisfied with, indicating a gap in smart parking information system. So, this is some of the observation that we found. Now, coming to this plot, this is a stack diagram that we have discussed previously in some of the other papers also we have used, and here all different colors are nothing but the satisfaction score 0 to 5, and F1 to F17 are those kind of factors. So, here if you see, mostly like people are giving more or less higher side satisfaction 4 and 5 in most of the attribute, but in case of factor 14 things is little different. So, in this case definitely people they have you know given some sort of dissatisfaction. This is the overall data, and this is nothing but the number uh, of response rate in percentage. Now, we try to understand that okay, overall data is something, but when we try to develop this based on male female, there also we have observed certain sort of pattern, but little variation between the uh, given responses in terms of satisfaction by male and female respondent. 14 again you are having the similar sort of findings where you have some sort of dissatisfaction. This is about the variable message system, because it was not that much present in all the places. Little satisfaction is for those where it was available partially. Similarly, for the age group, this is nothing but just the frequency plot of the responses in a stack diagram. It can be represented in a different way. It can also be represented through a table where you can give all those values 0, 1, 2, 3, and then the number. But this is something which you can very clearly see, and you can see that among the factors how you can compare. Now, coming to the gender based satisfaction differences where the heterogeneity were measured, we found that through the test, that here we have performed the Mann Whitney U test. So, that is a non parametric test which can compare to sample, okay, the value, okay, that we compare, that whatever the findings that we have for sample 1, sample 2, we can compare. So here male and female, they are treated as two different sample group, and we can see that is there any difference. Now in this case, what happened, that even in the frequency bar also we have seen the male and female respondent showed similar pattern of satisfaction and dissatisfaction across most attribute. Notable dissatisfaction from both gender on absence of variable message system, highlighting a universal demand for improved parking information system. So which is required whenever you have very low satisfaction, so that means people are really not happy with that, so you need to think on it as a developer. Now coming to the age based analysis reveal that here we have grouped the sample based on uh, clustering, based on initial few kind of iteration with the heterogeneity study. So one age group is below 30, other age group is above 30, where below 30 we refer as a younger respondent, and then 30 is older respondent. So definitely it is based on the study that we defined to group. It is not that anyone above 30 we are saying is old. So don't get confused with that. It's just two age category, where younger users showed higher satisfaction with in vehicle travel time, okay, compared to that of the older respondent. Now Mann-Whitney and Wilcoxon W test revealed significant differences in satisfaction across various attributes when segmented by gender and age, with exceptions in areas like riding comfort or egress time, where things are almost same. After that, once we get that okay, there is some sort of difference in heterogeneity, let us understand that how they are perceived it differently by different age group or male female, and then to rank all these 17 attributes. For that we have used reddit. Earlier I have mentioned about some other method as well, the topsys and gra. So in this case you get that reddit stand for relative to an identified distribution integral transformation, which is very commonly used tool in marketing research and all, but nowadays also it is being used in transportation study, especially capturing with the perception, importance, satisfaction, etc. So this is something analysis which actually provided the detailed rankings of attribute based on perceived satisfaction and revealing priorities among the different user group. Egress time and parking cost were among the top satisfied attribute across this different ages that we have picked up, or even male and female. While the presence of VMS was the least satisfying attributes across the board, all have shown dissatisfaction. Now, before I go to next slide, let us understand something from the paper itself, because I can understand that through this 30 minutes or 40 minutes lecture, it is not really possible that to provide all the information of this paper in the slide and explain, because the main motto of this case study is not to make you aware about these findings and the relevance. It is there partially, but along with that, most important part is that to showcase how they have used it, how they have represented, what kind of graphical representation that the authors have used, and then whether you can get something out of it, whether there will be some takeaway out of it, that okay, I can also think in similar direction. Okay, so this is the paper that already like I have explained, I have given the title and all. Now typically we start with introduction, then depending on the journal requirement we give the literature review, then the methodology, and in the methodology you can explain the methods as well. This is very interesting, like this is something where we have reported the past study where authors have used such kind of experiment, what kind of attribute they have taken. And next, like definitely I have explained this method. So here you can get step by step formula, different stages of read it. So this is definitely going to help you if you go through. It's written in a very simple way, and then for this particular study, all these 17 attributes that we have selected, that table already I have uh, given to you, right. So the F1 is there as other category. Now also the application of this particular case study, this is something, the descriptive statistics that I skipped in the presentation. So here is a comparison between your sample statistics and the population, and then finally this is something that the heterogeneity test that we have performed. In this particular case, definitely all these stack bar for different user group. This is what I was talking about. This is about performing the Mann-Whitney test and Wilcoxon test and the significance level and the Z value wherever it is there, where Z value is more than 1.96. So we found that okay, there is some sort of difference. Now then we perform the read analysis for the entire data set, and subsequently we have performed it for male, female, then age group below 30 and age group above 30. So all these tables that you can see the score and all, and finally in this table 8 we have reported the rankings across different user group, male, female, less than 30 years and all, and where you find certain sort of thing, right. F7, it is actually ranked first by all of them, right. So like that we also added the discussion section. This is very important to explain the reason, and also the recommendation were given based on their requirement. So this is very interesting part of this paper, and where like we can give certain recommendation, and after that the conclusion, and then the formatted references that are very important, that all the work that you have cited. So this is the table that I just have shown you. So in this case the overall ranking is 9, and you get that almost there are certain kind of parity, and also for F5 it is 7 across all user group, even for F7 it is 1, and you can see there is some sort of parity in their ranking, and these rankings were derived through Reddit from the satisfaction data that we have collected. Now coming to the discussion, this study highlights the significant difference in the metro axis satisfaction across gender and age group. For age group only few factors where we have seen the heterogeneity, but for the age group we have seen in multiple. It also emphasizes the role of personalized strategy to cater the diverse user need wherever it is applicable, suggests that enhancing access attribute could lead to increase in ridership, because that is the motto, that to bring more people to the public transport. Coming to the conclusion, in this case it confirms the presence of heterogeneity in user satisfaction towards metro station access in the context of Delhi. This also identifies critical access attribute needing improvement based on user feedback. If we only consider the overall data also, that is also very helpful to make the strategy for improvement. It also recommends further research to estimate the perceived benefit in lieu of improving the factor. So one thing is that okay, I am not satisfied, so there is something that you need certain improvement, but even if there will be improvement, what will be the perceived benefit, whether for that improvement we are ready to accept, whether there will be some sort of willingness to pay in terms of little increase in the metro fare or so. So those kind of estimations are required to make those improvement foolproof, because only with this satisfaction and all we can get that things are to be improved, but to make priority and all we need more investigation. So that's what, like, this is a part of a thesis. Only one objective maybe is a subtask of that, but later on we have actually done those kind of estimation, and that also we have published in some other journals, that we are not discussing here. So you can go and you can search about it. Now, coming to the takeaway from this case study, definitely it underscores the necessity of incorporating user feedback into public transport planning. In this case, metro facility in Delhi were considered. It also advocates the development of gender and age specific strategy to enhance metro access, because whenever you provide the facility should address the need for individuals, whether it is like the elderly people or whether maybe it is a female passenger and all. It also encourages the adaptation of smart technology like variable message system to improve user satisfaction. Along with that, all these contextual understanding, also we have seen the use of non-parametric tests like Mann-Whitney U test, Wilcoxon test, and the Reddit analysis as a like MCDM in this case. Also, we have seen that preference heterogeneity study, where those kind of Mann-Whitney, Wilcoxon W test, or maybe whenever the number are more than 2, we can also go for Kruskal-Wallis H test for finding whether there is some sort of variation in the responses among different category. So with that, we just come to the summary of this particular lecture. So where again this is another application of qualitative research method, where we try to capture the user's perception. Some of them are qualitative in nature, which cannot be directly quantified. We have used certain rating scale to derive the ranking, but the approach is qualitative in nature. So we have used it, and we have also seen some of the applications of non-parametric test, and also the read it as a MCDM technique. So these are the further readings that I frequently show you. You can pick up, you can go through it, and for the paper already I have given the QR, you can get access to that. Now with that, we end this particular case study, and next we'll come up with another case study of qualitative research, case study 5, in our next lecture. So we'll discuss again with certain new findings, the qualitative approach and how they have performed their study. So all such discussion will do in our next lecture. So till then, thank you for joining. Bye bye.